Welcome to the Talking Shh podcast. That's right. We'll be talking about music, albums, live shows, bands we love, bands not so much. Again, we're talking shh. Join me, Scott Nokon, and Stephen James. And welcome back to another week, another show. Doing a little bit, if you saw the last episode, which was, I believe, 27, we're on 28.
Wow.
I know I got some of the numbers off a few weeks ago, but we've been doing it for a little bit now, so it's pretty awesome. So
very cool.
Yeah, it's people are excited, right? Yeah, we enjoy it. So again, Scott Nokon, Stephen James, we are back to do talking shh. And as I hit everything, you guys wouldn't know it, but we've been off a couple weeks, and
Yes.
I think you would know it as I'm giving this this explanation, but it's all good. Here we are. We're in our respective studios. Steven's a drummer, in case you haven't figured that out in past episodes. But there's that kit, the old Mighty White kit, and then what you're sitting at is your kind of hybrid electronic and acoustic kit.
Yep.
With cymbals. Yeah. So
very cool.
So from our first episode, you had put in the order, and I think it actually arrived. And then all the way now, you are getting it's all put together.
Yeah.
And again, if you guys
amazing.
are experiencing any, I think we're experiencing some technical difficulties. So we'll get through it. We'll persevere, I promise. But again, what we wanted to do, because when we are recording this, and we try to get these out pretty quickly, but sometimes there's a little bit of a lag just based on the content. But since we've been off a couple of weeks, again, it's great to see you again, Stephen.
You too.
Hope everything's going well.
Absolutely.
So today, as we record this, there was some music news that dropped.
Yeah.
So I think we figured we'd just start the show and talk about it. So the big music news is Linkin Park has a new singer. And recently, and I'll say over the last week, you heard some news coming out, and there was a countdown on their website, and there was different rumors. Strange, random. One of the rumors I heard was the singer from Drowning Pool, not
really?
the original, and then the singer from Saliva. Which, okay, you're going back into that era, but none of that is true. The singer, which by now you know who this is, her name is Emily Armstrong from Dead Sarah.
Yeah.
So I've heard that name, Dead Sarah. I believe, and I don't have all their bio up in front of me, but I want to say they are a local, or at least at the time, because they've been around, I think, a decade plus, maybe 15 years. Remember hearing them. They were kind of a local find on KLOS a number of years back. And then they'd been on the road, not hitting any high marks. I'm sure they did touring. I'm sure they sold some records. But how much of these additional clips were seen today and added to their videos, I don't know. But one of their bigger songs, Weathermen, which was a good song, that has like 16 million views. So
wow,
how many of those are from today, or just that's been the growth over time? So Emily Armstrong, and in that they did a live show today somewhere in LA. I think it was, and we'll fact check this left and right later. So feel free to drop your comments below and say, you don't know what you're talking about. I believe there, I'll preface it with, I believe it was probably in one of the hangars where MTV has recorded like their video shows in the past. And even though they don't really play videos anymore, they have the VMAs coming up, next week? So that should be interesting. Yeah. Anyway, the Linkin Park new singer, they revealed a tour and an album that's going to be entitled From Zero. They also have added in a new drummer, Colin Britton. He's a songwriter, producer, G Flip, Illumian, and One OK Rock. I'd read another story really quick that linked No pun intended, linked. Rob, their original drummer, I think he just was in a different headspace, and this just wasn't for him anymore. Obviously, everyone knows the history of Linkin Park and Chester, and what, 7 years ago now, he
Yeah.
tragically, took his own life on the birthday of Chris Cornell. So,
Isn't that
um,
crazy?
yeah, and they were friends, and they both met a similar um, ending, and we won't get into that.
No,
But
no.
from a vocalist standpoint, and I'll tell you a really fun story really quick. So on the very first Linkin Park record, that's when my son Zach, who's much older now, one maybe one and a half, the first single, with the shut
Mm-hmm.
up, are you talking to me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying those are his first words, and yes, I'm a great father, but he knew
I know
he
where this is
learned that
going.
song and he learned that part, and this was video. If it was on cell phones in the modern era, it would be easily to pull up, and I'd probably just throw it up on the screen.
I
But
think
this,
it's I think it's shut up when you're talking to me.
shut up, yeah. What did I say?
I don't, you were yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I just have an epiphany. I was like, I
yeah.
just heard
Thank
the
you. No,
song.
thank you. Yeah, I need
Shut
you
up
to.
when you're talking to me.
Hey,
Shut
shut
up.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
I should be
stuff.
able to drop it in. Um,
Good
anyway, this would
stuff.
be on the handheld, you know, camera. We had the smaller cassettes, not the big VHS thing that we would haul around. But I remember having footage of that, and I probably
That's
have it
so
in
awesome.
upstairs that I could probably pull. But anyway, that band made a. I remember the first time I saw that video on MTV. I was like, wow, who are these guys? And in the coming weeks, we're going to talk about new metal, right? Would
Yes,
they fall in that category? I think so, because that
I
really
do believe
kind
so.
of took a hybrid of hip hop and rap and metal and rock, and just kind of was this, infused, um, kind of fresh feel. I was going to say fresh injection, but I don't know if that would get us knocked off
I
YouTube.
kind
So
of
I'll leave
remember
that
them,
alone.
and maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure I got corrected, but I kind of remember hearing them and System of a Down about the same time.
Yeah,
Kind of
yeah,
sounds about right. And
yeah,
I love both bands. I mean, I'm
absolutely.
not diehard, but I saw SOD, and that was amazing. I never saw Linkin Park, unfortunately, but that those two just kind of clicked together as like, oh yeah, I remember listening. Probably K Rock was playing them. I don't think KLOS was playing them.
Yeah, I don't think so, and I would agree. It was, when those bands came out, that was just something fresh in music.
I liked it.
So a couple more notes on Linkin Park, and then I'm going to drop in some audio of Emily doing a track, Bleed It Out. So new single, The Emptiness Machine, which we'll probably drop in our video version of this as well. First new music in 7 years, obviously
Awesome.
with everything that's transpired. It's going to be the lead track off their upcoming album, dubbed From Zero. That's going to arrive on November 15th. So on Warner Brothers, so they still have their deal with Warner Brothers, and the first full length since 2017, One More Light, which that came out 2 months before the death of Chester Bennington. And at that time, they had already booked basically in most places, either baseball stadiums or full stadium, like a
Yeah.
worldwide tour.
Yeah.
Do they do it now? They'll do arenas for sure. I don't think this is going to allow them to kind of resume at the exact same level. Uh, Jumped around and looked at some different comments. Most favorable, and I think, and you had said this before, Stephen, regarding Journey, how you like the fact. Well, no, actually, the point counterpoint. Arnell was not necessarily a clone of Steve Perry, but he definitely had major similarities. And there was one other singer that you had mentioned that wasn't even close. And now I'm drawing a blank on who that
Me
band
too.
was. But so sorry for no prep, sorry for no heads up on that. But in this case, it's, you know, and it's all good. Emily Armstrong,
Yeah.
female singer, strong vocalist. I'll play a little bit
Yeah.
of a clip in a second.
Yeah.
Went back and listened to her other stuff, but so, mostly favorable comments. Some people were writing, "Oh, you're trying to be Spirit Box," and some guy goes, "They're this is nothing like Spirit Box."
Yeah,
And
I saw that
I'm a
too.
huge Spirit Box fan, and I agree. There is nothing relatable other than, "Oh my God, you're a female singer, so you must sound like everybody else." So, big. We both are. We're big fan, and again, we're
Yeah.
big fan of music and vocalists. If they happen to be a female singer, a male singer, a whatever, if it sounds good, we like it. But certainly, there's a lot of bands, and I've been able to talk to a number of them over the years that they're great. Sumo Psycho, Vexed,
Oh
Spirit
yeah.
Box. There's just this power of, hey, you can bring it regardless of who you are. Um, I applaud Linkin Park for what they've done.
Absolutely.
Didn't really know, and I didn't hear any of this rumor until the last probably week and a half. And then I saw that countdown. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I started seeing over the last few days certain singers, probably clearly just someone being an idiot goes, "Ooh, I heard it's going to be John Bon Jovi." It's like, okay, yeah,
Like,
I'm sure that would work perfectly. Um, so
ugh.
let's go ahead and just drop in a little bit of
Let's do it. Mm.
there we go.
Do it, girl.
And we'll talk over this because I think then if we talk over it, we're representing the song versus just playing it, right, Stephen? Yeah.
Yeah, I went back and watched probably about maybe a little less than half of that live performance, and
Yeah.
I was blown away.
Yeah,
Like,
and it'll start soon, but and Mike Shinoda sounds fantastic too.
he's got really good harmonies. I didn't know he
Yeah,
had that. I was impressed with it. And the audience seemed very receptive too, which was very cool.
it
I
was.
mean,
Yeah, there was a ton of little shorts all over YouTube of people just with their camera like right in front of the stage.
yeah.
So you shut your
If you
eyes.
close your eyes, that's
Yeah,
Chester.
that's
Yeah,
funny.
I did
We
this.
both
I
said
see it
that.
the
Yeah,
same exact thing. Yeah.
and again, yeah, it's. I never dismissed this band.
No.
Always was a fan. Didn't listen to him for a while, but in my like top 10 bands of all time, Linkin Park probably sits in like the, you know, 6, 7, 8 range. If I had to
Sure.
just throw a number out, just good stuff.
Yeah.
And part of it, there's something to be said. I don't mean to talk all over it, but you guys can find this. It's all over the
Yeah.
web now. But
There
this,
we go. Hell yeah.
yeah. So can she sustain that? Right. Um, her voice doesn't sound that way in Dead Sarah. So is it? I'm not saying is she like being a chameleon, and wanting to replicate Chester. Um, I've done that. Like when I've done cover songs, you kind of assume that identity, and that's kind of just how it is. But there's a grit. Um, there's a grit to that voice, right, and kind of that rasp, which will come back. And you got the whole band kind of doing that. And you can feel the emotion too. At least I can, right? You hear it,
Absolutely.
and I get it. It's like here's your first live show. You know,
how
how
many
many
times was
people are watching?
yeah, and how many times do you think she was puking in the toilet before she went on stage?
Probably like, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
that's and again, and some of the comments I saw was about just people being nasty. It's like
Yeah,
she's not. This is a band that just wants to play their music, and they've got a couple new people that they're going to be able to play their music.
yeah.
What's wrong with that?
And with that, you break it down with over the years of bands that have continued,
Yeah,
either from tragedy, ACDC, um, to lesser scale, but still good, Alice in Chains,
yeah,
and then just switching out singers. One of our favorite, Iron Maiden.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Van
think she.
Halen.
Yeah,
And so and what I was going to say earlier when I looked at the release date, again, that new record coming out on Warner Brothers, November 15th, that's 2 months.
yeah.
They've kept
They've been
this.
busy.
Yeah,
Yeah, good
I don't know
stuff.
where that goes. Yeah. But they've kept this under wraps for a while, right? So that alone is pretty impressive. So I'm interested in what the new record sounds like.
Me
I
too.
will definitely check it out.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure they'll have well, actually, there is a single, so I need to go listen to that.
yeah. I
That
saw that. I haven't
single,
listened to
we'll
it
do
either.
we'll do it after the show. I didn't bring it in. Actually, let's see if I can bring it in now. You know, we got technology here, so let's see what we can do. And in doing so, it'll be interesting just to see. It's like how much of this, okay, the emptiness machine, right? Is that what we said? Here we
I
go.
think so.
So let's just see if this. We're doing it live, folks. So let's see if this will cooperate with us. So let that convert really quick. And here we go. So yeah, we can do. I have not heard this, nor has Steven.
Mm-mm.
So we can do a little quick reaction. You know, we have up until right before we got on air had yet to even hear Emily Fitzgerald. So now it's more a matter of we like what we heard, right? I think
Armstrong.
it's Armstrong. What Fitzgerald? Yeah, Emily Fitzgerald. She's in
That
catering. Yeah.
she's the
So
sister that lives in Ireland.
yes, yeah. It,
It's all
my
good.
apologies. No
It's all good.
disrespect, Emily.
All good.
I like the photo. It's a cool photo. I don't know if you saw that. It's on
No, it's
Variety. It's the main pick. Yeah, it's everywhere. And again, it's like there's it's a number of years. Folks that are folks, kids that are now early 20s, late teens. You can dig deep, and I suggest you go back and dig deep into Linkin Park,
mm-hmm.
and really appreciate what they brought. But let's go ahead and pull this little. So this is, and we're reacting to it. So this is the. Wouldn't it be funny if I grabbed the wrong song? No.
Mm.
So that's definitely a lot of Mike Shinoda.
I like it.
Yeah, good strong production. There we go. Another rumored vocalist was Lizzie Hale too.
Yeah,
think some of that might have been more just out of, familiarity and convenience with what she did with Skid Row. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there we go.
I like it.
And you can, I don't know if this makes sense. The kind of like what we talked about with Pantera.
Yeah,
You know, it's that they're paying homage, and I think that this can kind of,
I like
not
it.
to the same extent, but I think it's representative. If you called it Linkin Park or Joe's Garage, you know,
Right.
let's see, is there a meaning behind the emptiness machine? Let's see. There we go. So that's brand new. And if we get booted off with a copyright strike, we'll have to do another
Whatever.
episode. But again, we were representing this song because we spoke over it as far as just showing what it's about. But brand new Emptiness Machine from Linkin Park. And again, I'll get her name right, not Fitzgerald. Wow, I
Armstrong.
can't even say Emily Armstrong. It's like this thing. It's like, hello, can you work? Are you working here? Can it come out properly?
Yeah,
Yeah, I believe that they will, on their own merit, be successful.
absolutely.
Right? Be able to
Absolutely.
represent the brand, which does exist, of Lincoln Park. Bring in new fans that maybe just never had an opportunity, given the gap in performances of 7 years. And people, I could see that song, if not already, probably is. If you go out to satellite radio and Octane, it'll probably be the Biggins is their countdown. And I rarely listen to Octane because I just don't. I like the heavier side, and then I'll jump over and do some of the classic. Then I'll hit the new wave, and I always kind of skip by that channel. But this is, you know, definitely radio friendly on purpose or not. It's good. So
Well, she did drop a couple F bombs, so I'm sure they'll have a radio edited version.
yes, yes,
But
but
nevertheless, and I also too, I believe that kind of band that pulls in, and I've mentioned this on several shows that I'm very partial to female singers. I've always been drawn to that,
mhm.
and to hear that, I believe also brings in a whole new fan of young heavy metal ladies. Well, it's heavy metal, but
Yeah,
new metal that they're saying, wait a minute, this girl can do this. Well, I can do this, and I think that breeds
absolutely.
a lot of good intention of girls that yeah, you can be running for president of the United States. You can also be in a rock and roll band or a country, whatever. And I believe that music, as you and I both have that in here, the music that pulls us. And when you sent that to me, and I hadn't known, I'd heard the tease, but I didn't know that it had gone. I've been so
Yeah,
slammed at work. But for the past hour before we came on, I was listening to that concert. And I was just blown away, impressed, totally
yeah,
impressed.
definitely. I will. I'm sure they'll put more clips out there. Um, and like I said, there's a number of shorts already. That new song which they played as part of the concert today. Um, that will
I had
that will
actually
be all
gone
over the
to
place.
I had actually gone to their Lincoln Park's YouTube channel and saw they
Hmm.
had the full concert on there.
Okay,
Pleasant.
well, see,
Yeah.
I need to get out more often then, Steve. Yeah, so I'll
I'll
go
send you
find
the
it
link.
there. Thank you. But yeah, I would say overall, that's exciting music
Yeah.
news. It's a band that was still going strong when that just sadness occurred, but
Yeah.
it took them a while. I've seen some interviews of Mike Shinoda over the years, and um, yeah, it clearly there's someone that you were around, and we won't go too deep on this at all, but someone you're around for a couple decades, and you came up out of nowhere, out of the streets of LA, right?
Yeah.
And they became a multi-million selling band
Yeah.
that really prompted. So yeah, I applaud Linkin Park for making their way back.
Faux show.
I think showing some guts, showing some chutzpah, and bringing in
Heck
a
yeah.
fantastic singer. So, yeah, yeah, I think it's good. Yeah. So that was our lead in. That was just our intro into what we're going to go through today. So, while maybe it would be completely fitting to do our favorite female vocalist, we're not today. So
Coming
we're
up.
going to completely. It will happen. Yeah. But this was really spontaneous, and sometimes that's kind of cool how it just kind of works. Just see where we need to go and start talking about stuff. So
Yeah.
one of the not one of, but the topic of the show. Um, let's talk about top bass players, right? And I have a list here, as I'm sure you do as well,
But
Steve.
you have to look over my shoulder and see my 1980 Fender P bass sitting right there.
I do see that. Yeah. Let's see.
Props.
Do you
Drums
have the
and
bass
bass.
here? Oh, you know what? Actually, here,
Drums and
give me
bass.
give me one moment. I don't know
Do
how this
it.
will show up on camera, but
Do it.
one moment.
1980 Fender, and those strings actually have Steve Harris strings on it, which are very fat. Okay, there you go. Another Fender P bass.
So I'm back. So
Look at that.
yeah. So truth be told, and I can't show the whole thing. Sometimes size matters, but this is just a Squire bass. It's actually probably been around here for a number of years, and I'm not gonna. If anything, my granddaughter, who's 4, plays it more than I do because she'll come up and just start strumming it, and she'll strum and she'll be like looking away, almost like, "See what I'm doing?"
I got
You know?
this.
Yeah. But anyway, again, for as far as having our props, let me see. Can I get this somewhere?
And I'm sure that bass is 3 times the size of her.
Yeah. So, so there we go. We like
Cool.
to have some visual aids just in case we go. So what are we talking about? There, right there. We're talking
Bass.
about that and top bass players, right? So, where do you draw the line, right? We're not going to go top 100. Wouldn't that be something?
No.
Go, Steven, let's name our top 100. Go,
No.
what the fuck? I don't have
No.
100.
No.
I have, and let me just, because I've been talking too much, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
This is biased, by the way. So
yeah, totally.
we're not saying this is our favorite. I am going to throw in my favorites, but there are a number of bass players where you think, oh, I didn't even know that guy's name, and he's an amazing bass player.
Yeah.
And when you think of whether rock, metal, or anybody influential on bass, there's a handful that pop out.
Yeah.
You think of Flea, Geddy Lee, Steve Harris, Cliff Burton, God rest his soul. The list goes on, and we can go back to the godfathers of metal with Geezer Butler, who was probably the pioneer of bringing these bass players into. But there's a whole slew of bass players that I know who they are, but I never knew their names, and I was like, wow,
Okay.
that guy's good. And one of them I'm going to bring up is the bass player for Tool.
Okay. Yep.
Is his name John Chancellor? Can't think of his name.
Oh, Let me
he,
bring that up because yeah, that
yeah,
that name and
I think
right
it's
in
John
line with
Chancellor.
what you said. It's like I you know, no Tool, absolutely
I'm
no.
sorry that if I butchered that, we can edit that in post.
You're fine. But
And I
Justin,
just
so his I think his
Justin Chancellor.
father is John, but yeah, Justin,
Yeah,
and he's been the bass player in Tool since '95, replacing the founding member Paul Diamore. Which if most bands out of most bands, could I name more than one member? I could name two,
yeah,
Maynard and Danny Carey. That's it.
right,
I couldn't tell you the guitar player, and now I know Justin Chancellor
right.
because you brought it up. But I don't know if that's certainly there's major fans of Tool, and I've always
Yeah,
been a huge fan of Tool.
me too.
But it was the collective to me was the music. There wasn't a player. You definitely know what Danny Carey can bring, and he certainly stands out on his own. But
Yeah, for sure.
again, it was just like everything to do with the vibe. But yeah, the bass being in there um, is certainly one of those distinctive things that kind of makes them who they are,
And
right?
then I'm going to bounce around because this will probably be up your alley. His name is Alex Webster, and he is the bass player for Cannibal Corpse. And if you've ever seen any,
Okay,
he's got some tutorial. I don't know if it's tutorial, but he's got some videos, and I believe he plays 6 string bass,
okay,
5 or 6 string bass. But this guy's fingers are he dances that fretboard like it's like he's I don't know, like water's flowing. It's just effortless. And that goes to show you that some of the bands that the bass is more prominent or it's not more prominent, but when you
yeah.
see what the guy's actually doing, when you hear that song, you're like, holy crap, man, an amazing bass player. I was checking some of that stuff out this week, and I was like, man, this guy rips. And
That
again,
yeah, that's awesome to hear because I haven't. Sorry to jump in, but yeah,
no, go ahead.
it's heard that band, and now I'm going to listen more intently for the
Yeah,
bass
yeah,
because of that. And
yeah. It's quite amazing. You know, there's another bass player, and I have a hard time pronouncing his last name, but his name is Steve D. Giorgio, and been in Testament, Death,
okay, yeah,
Satis, and Autopsy. This guy shreds too.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
again name probably not,
See,
but
that's what's crazy.
yeah,
That's what's crazy. But there's always going to be the highlights of like who my favorite are, and you to me you have to always go to Lemmy.
yeah,
Was the only good bass player I've ever seen that plays chords with distortion.
right, yeah,
Um, totally amazing. Cliff Burton, which will have to unfortunate passing of him, but this guy was another bass player that could play bass and play almost lead guitar with it.
mm-hmm.
Anesthesia pulling teeth. Some of the stuff on Master of Puppets, just a phenomenal bass player. And, we have to give credit to me being a drummer and playing bass. Not as good as I play drums, but
Yeah,
that might be in the eye of the beholder. But
yeah,
the bass and drums are to me the jet engine of the band, and then the guys out in front are the pilots of it that swing it along.
there we go.
And bass players are key because that is for the most part. And I have to just drop back in with Steve Harris and Nico. That one of the things that Nico does is he plays to the rhythm of the music. So when you listen to his fills, he's playing along with the guitars,
Yeah,
the drums, and the bass guitars. It's interesting the orchestration that he has brought to that band. He doesn't do as much anymore. Unfortunately, he had a stroke. I know we're not talking about drummers, but he had a stroke, I think, early in the year, and had to
yeah,
take a little bit of
yeah.
time off. And I've seen a little bit of video of him, and he's not as swingy as he used to be, but he's still doing it. So to me, that, and I'm going to see them in October, which I'm really thrilled about.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I need to. I think I already looked, and there isn't anything close to me. I'm outside Nashville, so again, will they do another set of dates? They should. I don't think there's a ton of dates on this run. So would they add more? Um, Seen them many times over the years. That's definitely a bass player that stands out for a lot of the reasons. Again, the probably what stands out to me amongst Steve Harris, and I've gone back and listened to, we had the 40th anniversary just a couple of days ago of Power Slave,
Yeah.
and just what Steve Harris is, not only the founder but the primary songwriter of Iron
Yeah.
Maiden, and his lyrics and music, and just the there's more to Iron Maiden than Steve Harris, but there is no Iron Maiden without Steve Harris,
Absolutely.
and just the his technical ability. Again, we talked about his ability to compose those songs. There's a lot there, and if anything, is he like the gold standard for a complete bass player, complete musician with his ability to play. To he doesn't jump all over the place. I remember many times him just kind of putting his foot up on the speaker and just kind of looking into the crowd, but he's
Mm-hmm.
singing the lyrics as he wrote them. So it's there's many memories I have either from videos or seeing them live over the year where he definitely stands out. You mentioned Cliff Burton, and what again and no, not, I guess, pun intended for sure, the thing that would not be, the thing that should not be, thing that would not be is a song, right? Um, with his again tragic demise, and I remember hearing about that is back in the day, clearly, of you had the single phone in the house. I think we had two, but we had the one phone in the kitchen that had like the 50-foot cord that would stretch all the way
Yeah.
to the living room. And a buddy of mine had called because we didn't have the internet and you wouldn't hear of anything. And who
Mm-mm.
knows if they were going to cover Metallica on the Roger
News.
Cronkite or news at night. He called me and said, "Hey, Cliff Burton died." I remember that vividly now, standing in the kitchen, and just hearing that, and it's like I just got to know him, right?
Yeah.
Never meeting him, but just like I just got to know his music. But
Yeah.
he was so innovative, with the distortion and
Yeah.
using pedals, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, playing chords on a bass, that sound, and we could do a whole other show on the four bass players of Metallica, at least the four prominent ones. I think there was a fifth that fit in there right before Rob McGovney, but you definitely four for sure. Um, Cliff Burton's classical music influence. Um, so it's something there. Geezer Butler,
Just to
yeah,
roll back on Metallica,
yeah,
that Jason Newsted, by the way, is another phenomenal bass player
yeah. I
for the
was going to
Flotsam
mention him
Jetsam.
next
And
after Geezer.
yeah, there's a couple of clips of him doing some live bass finger stuff, and he was the gift that got kicked in the ass for Metallica,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Let's talk about that. If anything, and we did a Metallica 2 episodes a few back. So
Yeah,
feel free if this is the first time you're listening to us and watching us. Thank you. You can find all the video episodes on the later ones, the more recent that you watch, Stephen. And I think it starts next week. There'll be video episodes on Spotify,
cool.
and then on YouTube and anywhere you can stream music. There's too many to list now, and I say that not to brag, but just to be appreciative of. Yeah, it's all out there. So if you can't find it, you're not looking. And we appreciate and we want you to go look for it and listen to it. But yeah, Jason Newsted, it was the king of bad timing, right? There's been plenty of things discussed with Injustice for All, and the record I think is fantastic. but yeah, you don't hear him, and there's plenty of stories. We don't have to rehash them all. But if Lars and James were in there, I don't know if you could really put any of this on Kurt. He just kind of did his own thing. It seems like it's just happy-go-lucky. He loves his horror films and his
I think he's kind of like the
guitars.
puppy on the leash,
Yeah, I'm like, I'm good. I'm just with it. I don't
Yeah.
want you to, I don't need to get caught up in it. But they weren't ready just to kind of like let go of Cliff, and that's
No.
totally fine. But
No.
Seeing Flotsam and Jetsam, and then after Metallica, he did a stint with Voivod, who is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Newstead, that record he put out under his name clearly, that's awesome. He
Yeah.
sings, and the music is powerful, and I still
Yeah.
go back and revisit it. I remember running into him, meeting him, and talking for a few minutes at the country club the week he joined Metallica.
Oh,
Um,
no kidding.
and I forget the show. I would say if I took a guess and said it was probably one of Steven's favorite, Dark Angel,
Hey.
um, um, and Viking. That's probably I'm probably more right than wrong if I go back in my memory because I did. That's when I was kind of doing the tech stuff for Viking, which I'm not a tech guy, so don't ask me to tune a guitar. I can tune a fish, but not a guitar. But I can set it up.
Hey.
I ran my ass off. I would set up drums. Me and my buddy Jeff, we did a number of shows, and our job, at least to us, was we would sprint in and out, and we never tripped, we never dropped anything, we never broke anything. And it was a matter of saying, we are going to give you as much time as possible by getting your gear in and out.
Mm-hmm.
So we took pride in it. But yeah, he was very humble, very appreciative, just a downright cool guy. And yeah, he's in there. Lemmy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to have friends that like to uh, carry my drums and set them up for me. So
Yeah.
I was a little spoiled for a minute there, but
Hey, it matters. I had it easy as a singer. I didn't even bring a microphone to the show. I just walked in. I'm like,
they had
what are you
microphones.
guys doing?
Yeah.
After a while, then I started recognizing that, I didn't want to pick up something that, Jello Biafra had. So I started switching out microphones.
And I still had a few friends that would help me load drums in at an Ocon show at D Piazzas. So,
Yeah.
we got that going for you.
Yeah. So, Lemmy,
Yeah.
like in all of, and I focused more on metal, right? But we could do a pretty deep show just on overall bass players in rock and beyond that. And you mentioned Flea, who's incredible, such a distinctive sound
Yeah.
and a showman as well, right? To me, one of my favorite from a rock band setting is Geddy Lee. And this is bad, but not Getty, but his book. And his book's not bad. My ability to finish a book is bad because I got that for Christmas and I'm about 2/3 of the way through. Now, I kind of clearly I'm failing this year in 2024, but I like to get as many months there are in the year. I like to double that in books.
That's good for you. I
Not
can't.
this year.
I've
Not this
always
year.
been a
Yeah.
horrible reader.
Yeah.
I'll read a sentence and my brain's thinking about a laundry list of things I need to do. Or, it's
Yeah.
just. I'm very good with audio books, which I really enjoy. But
Yeah, and I haven't gone there yet, and I probably will. Just like if I'm out, and who's now, Stephen, we're going to go into a life and wellness chapter
yeah,
of our talking show. But yeah, getting out there, going for a walk, or just if you're doing, I don't want to say non-impact or non-difficult task where you can just kind of plug in your headphones and just go. It's like, yeah, I haven't gone there yet with. I have like Audible on my phone, which is I think all integrated with Amazon now. So there's every reason to do so. But yeah, I still like the book. Like I still like the vinyl. I still like the book. If I could find a newspaper, I'd still probably buy a newspaper somewhere. There's just something about that. But yeah, I kind of have failed. I got a few more months. I can make it up. But anyway, the Geddy Lee book. When we talk about just bass players all around, just what he brought. However, he's not on my list. Lemmy is on my list, and it's you look at just from a front man and he was a good bass player too. There was nothing shabby about it, but it was just the entire package, of Lemmy. How many artists, and there's a more than a handful, but just how many mention his last name? You didn't need
And
to.
he had
Yeah,
that Rickenbacker that was hand wood engraved.
yeah.
As he got a little bit later in the career, and then I'm just going to bounce over real quick as bass player frontman. We also have to talk about Tom Araya.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about Blackie Lawless. So yes,
He
yeah,
plays guitar now. He used to play bass.
that's right. Yeah, um, Tom Araya. Again, one of my all-time favorite bands.
Yep.
Top five for sure. Seen them many many times, and yeah, Tom's not going to like run up and down. Well, because he doesn't wear Janet Jackson microphones. That's why he's got to be anchored to the mic. But just his presence, right? He just had that presence on stage.
Yeah.
And when you're a 15, 16-year-old seeing him for the first time, with everyone just thrashing around you, you're just like in awe.
That was when circle pits were real circle pits.
Yes.
When you see them now, they're just people running around in circles. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, we used to get smacked and punched and
Yeah, and there was it's I some for sure. There was I got hit in the face one time, and I was actually surprised it didn't knock me down. I could take a punch, let me tell you, but like I just remember looking at this guy going, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was actually amazed that it didn't break my jaw. So that just goes to show one of the most top of the head, right? And this can be fragile depending on where you hit it. So I was fortunate that nothing happened on that one, but that
and
was just work.
it's a stunner to get punched in
Yeah,
the
but it was
face. You're
like,
like,
whoa. Okay, no, I'm still
thank you.
here. I don't see stars. Let me go. And I remember going to the restroom there.
Am I bleeding?
Breaking news. Yeah. And like, nope, it seemed nothing's there. I can talk. Yeah, that was wild. But yeah, just the sheer power and driving force, and Slayer's doing a couple shows, and Kerry King has talked about more so recently while he's fully engulfed in his new band, Kerry King.
Yeah.
Is would they do more than a couple shows? And we had talked about that prior. Where I hope so. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for them to be done yet. I like to be able to see them another time. I'm not interested in going to one of the festivals.
No,
They're playing. It's just like I can't do that. And we've talked about it. And make sure little hint for everybody, as Stevens talked about a number of weeks ago. Don't eat the food at the festival.
No.
And if you do, and I guess there's no way to avoid a porta-john, right? Is that the proper
Something like that.
You know, you don't want to visit those either, but I guess you have to. So there's all kinds of
And you want to hope that if you have to visit it, there's not a line and you're waiting for somebody.
yeah.
Sometimes those things don't. As you get older, they don't they don't like to wait.
No.
I do want to throw another bass player in, and this might be something a little bit different, but Troy Sanders from Mastodon.
Yeah.
Because not only is he a bass player, he's a singer, and he's a front man, and he's a big old feathermucker. But that guy shreds too.
He does. Yeah. And I didn't have him on my list, but I'm glad you mentioned him. I saw them probably 6 years ago at the Greek in Los Angeles, and it was a co-headlining show with Primus, and so that was an interesting combo that evening. And that's another bass player, Clay Lespool.
Yeah.
Les Claypool. I think Clay Lespool actually plays saxophone, but Les Claypool, again, they all fell right in that kind of middle genre with metal, right? They got paired with metal, then they played with some other bands. They also recently did a tour, just I guess in the spring with Perfect Circle and Tool, where they did kind of a three
Oh,
prong
cool.
setup. But yeah, definitely Mastodon. There's everything about that. A few others that stand out, and it's more just kind of the, I'll kind of lump them into kind of the complete package, at least during that time. Rex Brown, um,
Yes.
just Pantera
Yeah.
down, Kill Devil Hill, but Pantera, which most people know him for. And then this is to me one of the classic songs, metal songs of all time, with an opening bass line that also was part of Headbangers Ball.
Oh
That
yeah.
bass
Yep.
intro with Dave Ellefson
Dave
from
Ellison. Yeah.
Megadeth. And he's had a storied past, and will never be in Megadeth again. And there was a lot talked about
Unfortunately.
that. But as far as what his contributions were, and that sound, that's just that this distinct sound. I was listening to some Megadeth in the last week or so, again on my drive back in, to the house. Just such a good sounding record, good produced records. The early, the first one was raw and dingy, but really good. But then the Rust in Peace, Countdown to Extinction. Wow, Countdown to Extinction. There we go.
Hey.
Peace Cells. This had great production, great sound, I thought.
Hey, you know what? Can we take a 2 minute break?
Yes.
When you're 57, your bladder has to
Yeah.
explode.
So
You'd rather do
if
that.
I leave this in because I haven't figured out how to cut
Oh,
this
then you
out in
should
the
leave it in
middle,
then.
I
We've
yeah, I'm
already
gonna leave
both
it.
got up and had to go do something.
Yeah. So I'm gonna keep talking. So in
Yeah,
that, if I
I
have
got some
to,
great lineups. So go ahead. Sorry, I
yeah,
apologize,
perfect.
everybody.
No, that's okay. Again, this is in support of it being live, and hopefully Stephen didn't bring a microphone with him as well wherever he's going. We don't know, so I won't talk about him. But I'm just going to recap. So Robert Trujillo, haven't mentioned him yet. Current bassist for Metallica. He joined in 2003. The infamous story now, the $1 million signing bonus that he was offered to join Metallica. That's money today. 2003, and where he had been prior with suicidal tendencies. He was with Ozzy, Infectious Grooves. That was some life changing cash. And 21 years later, he's still going strong. Tom Araya, we talked about, again, Slayer. That's all he's done. But just really the driving force in thrash for decades. His contribution to Slayer sound just defined the genre. And anyone that's a fan of thrash and the heavy music, you can't help but think of Slayer and Tom Araya as as just such an impact. Rex Brown, we talked about him, what he's been able to do. Again, just the playing was really characterized by a deep, punchy tone, solid groove. It was always the foundation for Dimebag Darrell's guitar work, and what Steven, as he comes back into the
Hello,
picture.
sorry, everybody.
No, we talked about like with Rex Brown paired with with Vinnie Paul. It's like bass and drums hand in
Oh
glove.
yeah.
Steven being a drummer but plays bass as well. So really good
Uh,
appreciation.
and no, I didn't bring
Mark
the
Lemmy.
microphone into the bathroom with me.
No, I added some sound effects. Let's see if there was anything we could.
I got another one I want to bring up.
Yeah, yeah, and
Thanks,
yes,
everybody.
yes,
Make sure you tip your waitress and waiters.
yes,
Waitresses and waiters. Frank Bello.
yeah, yeah. I was thinking about him driving home too. And part of it is going between. Are we talking about? And I guess frontman is generally associated with the lead singer. So let's just call it more of is it his playing? Is it his performance? Is his stage show? But Frank Bello, yeah, 100% always stood out to me and still to this day of just, I don't know if he really kind of took a some inspiration from Steve Harris, but he had been up there and playing and kind of shaking his head and singing along,
Yeah.
and seeing Anthrax for a number of times. This was kind of a happy surprise, right? A happy surprise There, there's a club in Anaheim called Chain Reaction, and if it holds more than 150 people, it's only because they had to use butter and Crisco to squeeze them in there.
Yeah, right.
And this was a few years ago now, um, maybe a decade. Let's say a decade, but it could have been maybe 8 to 10 years. How's that? Helmet, um,
Oh yeah.
who unfortunately canceled their tour because of lack of ticket sales. They were going out on the road with Local H, and it's tough, right? Even bands that were, they're playing tiny clubs and they couldn't even pull that off. So that's unfortunate because I always liked Helmet. In this tour at Chain Reaction, Frank Bello filled in for a run of dates. So it's like, wow, okay, yeah, you show up there, and I maybe heard about it before I got there, so it wasn't a complete surprise. But you look at Page Hamilton, kind of the crew cut, and just straightforward, just playing like Helmet songs. You don't associate Helmet with Frank Bello, but
No.
he came in and he kind of lifted the overall vibe and the excitement.
Hell
And
yeah.
yeah, I think that's a great choice. Yeah.
Kind of an interesting that I noticed about Frank when they live when they do the song "Time," which is obviously a cover song, but he starts that bass line with a pick, and if you watch him, there's a couple of videos of him live where he's doing with the pick, and as soon as the guitars come in, he flicks the pick, and it's all
Mm-hmm.
fingers, and when you hear the playing, you're like what that he's doing that with his fingers. A phenomenal bass player. I've
Yeah.
always been a huge fan of his.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. While you were on a little break, I just ran through um, kind of the top ones that I had, which essentially kind of mirrored a lot of what you had. Again, Jason Newsted, Geezer
Yes.
Butler. Again, just Black Sabbath has been widely credited as the pioneers of heavy metal, but the kind of described as the heavy doom laden bass lines really laid the foundation for that whole genre, right? Kind of sludgy, just good stuff. And there's a
Yeah.
and it's probably, I think it's just called Geezer Butler. He did some solo stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
GZR actually, yeah, GZR. There we go. Kind of cool, right? It's not Sabbathy, but with him in there, you might want to look that up on YouTube or Spotify or wherever, just to get a little bit of a different representation of Geezer Butler. But
Got an honorable mention, Ian Hill from Judas Priest.
yeah,
Kind of the just more of the drive. It's
hmm
I think it's kind of like just the engine. It just kind of is that background thing. He doesn't do a lot of fancy footwork or finger fretboard but when you see him on live, he's always just rocking, doing that little
yeah,
bob and weave thing, and he's his groove. And if you actually get a chance to do an isolation of his bass tone, it's killer.
okay.
It's
Yeah, no,
it's
he
interesting.
stands out. Yeah, I seen them a number of times, and when you started talking about it, it took me back just visually in my mind to the footage from the US Festival.
Yeah,
And yeah, he was just always just steady and in place. Yeah.
I heard it interesting, and I know we're going to talk about female vocalists. It's something that just popped into my awareness about bands now that put out music that nobody's buying and having to foot everything else to go on tour and to sell merchandise, and it's such a shame how everything's changed. Hopefully it reverses itself, but um, these bands put a lot of their own money into putting out music, and it's unfortunate that you just can't buy it, so they rely on you know t-shirts and whatever else they're selling and ticket sales, of course. But the interesting thing too, and that might be another topic we can talk about, is the how ticket sales prices have just quadrupled over the past, I don't know, 5 years maybe.
Yeah.
Iron Maiden sells their concert tickets for, I think it's like $120. Whereas you go see, like, let's say Blink 182, they're like $500 a ticket. I'm like, who can afford that anymore?
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Yeah, I just let me comment on two parts of that. The first with bands that are, and just call it the normal bands. We're not talking about the major headliners that are doing just fine. These
Right.
are the bands that are going show to show in a van,
Mm-hmm.
not a new one and not a Sprinter van, like
No.
a panel van, like a Chevy or Ford panel van, um, and playing on a Tuesday night. And this is a real life story, so I'll
Mm.
say the band name because I think they need more recognition. And this show alone's not going to do it, but they deserve it. Casket Robbery, and I'll wear one of their shirts on the next show we do. They're from Wisconsin, and a friend of the show, Chris Margettis, um,
Yeah.
he actually, and this was kind of a nice turn of favors. He's the one that turned me on to him, and he
Oh,
he
okay.
had texted me and said, "Hey, do you know this band?" I'm like, "Actually, I don't." And I brought him up and I played it, and I go, "That it's heavy. It's heavy stuff. It, doesn't matter." But Megan, a female singer,
Awesome.
just check out, and I'll send you a link,
Yeah,
Stephen,
please.
because it's visually it's cool what they do on their video and the one song. Again, it's heavy, but the musicianship is there. So he went and saw him, and how he got turned on to him is they are major fans of horror films and zombies.
Cool.
Well, Chris did a movie
Yeah.
that's both, and they had gone to a like a Comic Con, horror con in Chicago, and they met him a couple years ago. So they were fans, and when they came into town, they had exchanged contact information before. They texted him and said, "Will you come to the show?" He goes, "Absolutely." So that's how
Cool.
he turned me on to him, and I didn't even ask for it, but he texted the band, and they put me on the list at this little club in Nashville, and they're actually coming back, playing the end, again, a small club in Nashville, I think in early October. So I'm going to go back, and I didn't need to be on the list. I'm not saying that to say, oh, I don't need to be on the list, but I was, and the tickets were only like 20, 25 bucks. It's not the service fees and all that, but the one thing that I could see on their socials was, and understandably so, they don't they bring their merch game to the till.
Cool.
A plus merch game. They had multiple shirts, double sided, single sided. They had long sleeve, short sleeve. They had booty shorts. Not wearing those. Might own them. Not saying I do or don't, but they have booty
Not
shorts.
on
They have
camera, anyhow.
no. They have posters. Everything runs the gamut. As we've said on past posters. Already said that again. Stickers, CDs, you could buy all that stuff, candles, coffee, everything. So I go to the merch table, I'm all, give me this, give me this, give me this, give me this. And they're like, and then I introduced myself, and here's this aggressive sounding singer. Her face just lit up when I said Chris. And I took pictures with them, and they were wearing Manson Brothers t-shirts and all that. And I go, Chris, I go, these guys love you. I go, they were so thrilled, and they were so appreciative. And I'm going to, the record's not out yet. The single's out now, and I'll wrap this part up. But I want to do an interview with them coming up on for my radio show. So I'll get something coordinated. But again, it's just like here's just genuine people that are
Yeah.
good musicians that have been going at it for a number of years. That are they trying to be the biggest thing in the world? Probably not. I think they have they have aspirations to be successful, but not pie in the sky. And there's a million bands out there doing it, but they're doing it because they love it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think this goes across the board. If there's any band that you get an opportunity to go to in a club, buy a shirt, buy a CD, buy a sticker. share their songs on social media if you have
Support.
friends that are into similar bands. Yeah, that support um, angle is so important. It's so matters, and everyone should try to help lift that next person up, help them up the ladder if you can. Even if you have $20 in your pocket, that's going to make a difference. That's going to get them maybe a couple burgers or tacos as they drive to the next city. Um,
And sometimes it's cool to just donate and not take a piece
yeah,
of.
same thing. It's like they got tip jars in there.
Yeah,
A lot of them do it on their phones, and so it's you can just
yeah,
send
they've
them money.
yeah they've got like Venmo or
Mm.
whatever, PayPal, all that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you're right. Supporting bands, because it's completely changed to when you and I were back in the day
yeah,
playing. We had pay to play, where we had to sell
yeah,
a number
yeah,
of tickets, and if you didn't sell the tickets, you had to pay that money that those tickets didn't sell, which was shit.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it is
totally.
what it is, and that helped you get out. And it's like, okay, you got to sell 25, and you got to sell 25, and $5 a piece. That's like back in the 80s was not easy to come by, and
No,
but we
no.
still did it because that
Yeah.
was our drive. We were driven
Mhm.
to do this and play live, and somehow we pulled it off. And our little followings from club to club, and playing from Hollywood to Orange County, to play. Remember Goodies? Goodies was in Orange
Absolutely.
County? Yeah,
Yeah, and Fullerton. Yeah, then it was
yeah,
Club Three.
Fullerton.
Yeah, and then was it 369? Yeah, because 5902 was in Huntington. So yeah, it was Goodies, and then Club 369. Yeah.
I think that picture of me, I don't know if you've seen it, where the mirrors behind me, with old, I think that was Goodies. But it was
Okay.
fun to play, and to move around, and to bring a different demographic of people. Like, oh, this is a Hollywood band, an LA band, and now they're playing in Orange County.
Yeah.
We had a blast.
Absolutely.
We
Yeah.
had
No,
such a good
I'm
time.
I'm thinking back now, and there's some good memories of Goodies for sure.
I love how that we started about bass players, and we're just now, okay, let's talk about all this other stuff, which is so much fun.
Well, yeah, we do. It's like it was unplanned. We started with the Linkin Park and their big announcement today and their new singer, and we applaud that. We're very excited. We think that's
Yeah,
going to be something that's worth checking out. Um, then we got into our topic,
yeah.
and yeah, as we should, we just kind of pull
I
it
do
all
have
in.
to, I do have to, we have to fall back though. And I mentioned this on a text to you earlier. We
God,
had our
God,
show.
the crowd is going
Oh,
wild here.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
they're excited.
They're
Yeah,
ready for an encore.
yeah, it's coming.
Did
Yeah,
we come up for the last song? Um,
yeah,
we did a show on bands. Will they reunite? Should they reunite, or should they not reunite?
yeah.
And one of the bands we talked about was Oasis. And I'm sure this is going to be old news by the time the show comes out, but uh, in the news this week, or last week, that the Liam brothers have decided to do a reunited type. I don't. I think they're only just doing European shows,
Yeah,
from I heard.
yeah. There was talk early, and again, you love all the amount of time people take just manufacturing
Yeah,
just bullshit.
conspiracy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There was one post,
fucking
and I
kills
looked
me.
at it. So it had all these, and now all is relative. It had probably 20 locations, but it was stadiums in America, and a couple Canadian, so North America. And
Mm-hmm.
then in that it was laid out like a tour itinerary. And then there was um, 7 nights at in England at
O2
the
Arena.
no, the stadium.
Oh
So
yeah.
um, and part of that was to and maybe there's some truth to that. And I think if they could do multiple nights there was to beat Taylor Swift's record because I think she did 5 nights at Wembley Stadium. Um, 5 or 6, and so they were going to do 7. And then Glastonbury, supposedly, they were offered a lot of money, and they're like, "We're not doing any state. We're not doing any. What are those called? Not stadiums, any big, not big tours. See what
Arena.
happens. We get an hour into this, and I'm starting to fade away. The festivals. There we go. The
Okay.
word of the evening festival. And while we're at it, LinkedIn, Udo Dirkschneider, and anything else that we try to repeat.
You brought it up again.
Yeah,
Good
but
for you.
yeah. The so who knows, right? I remember also we talk about overinflated ticket prices. They had shows that went on sale earlier this week for Oasis,
I
and I
haven't
get
pulled
it
up.
because it's not always the band, it's their management, and then doing the coordination with the ticket agencies. But they had surge pricing, not surge tanking, but surge pricing, so it just created, again, there's going to be a demand. Um, the numbers, if there was like 1 million people trying to buy tickets, it just flooded the system. The prices went up, the
Oh, I heard
servers
that too.
crashed, all those things. It's never a good story. And who knows if all that stuff is actually built to really is really pressure tested when these huge shows go on sale because they need to know better. The demand's going to be so immense that systematically can't even keep up with it. And then you let the algorithm take over and say, oh my God, all these people are going into the queue. I didn't get an amount, and I'm sure we can find that, and we'll drop a comment in later about what the actual ticket prices went up to. But your comment earlier, Stephen, on Blank being 500, knowing other big time artists, some of the tickets near the front could be in the 6, 7, maybe $1,000 range.
Mm-hmm.
Even nosebleed could be 250.
Huh.
There's there. I'm not saying they're going to gouge everybody, but some of them are going to be just certainly on the secondary market. It's going to be ridiculous.
My wife is leaving. I'll see you in a while, honey. Okay, so here I
I'm
got
leaving
I
that
pulled
in
the
there too, Stephen.
yeah, I pulled the dates up. So this is 2025 summer next
Yeah,
year. So the first two dates are July 4th and 5th in Cardiff. They've got 5 dates. Is it 5 dates? 5 dates in Manchester after that, the 11th through the 20th. And what we were trying to think of was Wembley.
Wembley. Yep.
They've got 5 nights in Wembley, 25th through August 2. Oh, I'm sorry, August 3. They're playing 2 dates in Edinburgh, 3 dates in Edinburgh, and 2 dates in Dublin. And that's it.
Yeah. So would it come to America? You would think so, but maybe not. Again, when we talked about Oasis a few episodes back, part of it was, and even these were quotes at the time, which hey, anything can change, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Is it a money grab or not? I don't think so. Just yeah, you're going to make some good money off that, but
Shit.
do what you want to do. And at the time, years back, they were saying we have nothing left to prove. Well, here we are, all these years later. It's not everyone in the band. It's just like you said. It's just the brothers and whoever will be there supporting musicians. But why not? If it comes to America and it's not a ridiculous price, though, probably
Oh,
it
yeah.
probably will be.
Yeah.
If there's a chance to get into a show, yeah, I'd see it. I'd check it out. I never saw them before,
I haven't
but
either. I
again,
saw I saw a pretty funny comment. Somebody was saying $1,000 a ticket to see that guy stand there with his hands behind his back singing. Fuck that! It just made me laugh. He gets that really odd thing that I think I mentioned in a show
yeah,
before,
yeah,
where he just
kind of,
puts his hands behind. But they're pop Beatles music,
yeah,
and I know back before I think before they split, Zach Starkey was playing drums for them, who was doing tours with the Who.
yeah.
I don't know if they're going to tour ever again. So it'd be interesting to see if they hire Zach back to play drums for them on this leg of whatever they're going to do, this reunion thing.
Yeah, it could be right.
So, but kind of interesting though. I mean, we talked about interesting how we talked about it a month or two ago about they're never going to get back because they don't like each other, and
Yeah,
look what
yeah,
happens.
yeah.
You
No
don't know
kidding.
what we don't know what's going to happen.
We don't. And is there any link back to us? Not really. Of course not.
Come on,
But
it's
or is
because of
it?
us is why they reunited.
Is it or is it right? Thank
You
you
never
for
know.
pulling me out of that negative tone I had there. Could it be? At least we put it out in the universe. So I guess
Hey,
and we'll end on this. Anything's possible, right?
yeah,
Anything can happen. That's what's great about music is there's so many. There's so many styles. There's so many interests. You stumble across new bands every day. Steven's a connoisseur of YouTube, so you can do deep
yeah.
dive. I find stuff that comes across on YouTube as well as on any of the streaming services. Sometimes the algorithm is fantastic. Other times it's like
Oh,
I
it's
got to get
dude.
off
Yeah,
that. But
me too.
overall, it works out. And again, if anything, if we can bring a little bit of information your way, if we can make you laugh or cry for a few minutes every week, hey, we do this because we love music. We love
Yeah,
talking to one another, just sharing some stories, having an unscripted show, and just ending up wherever we end up.
yeah.
That's
It's
just
fun.
kind of the beauty of it. It's
It's
something
fun.
fun, and I
Yeah,
enjoy it.
me
And
too.
please, if you guys like what you have heard, again, like, subscribe on YouTube,
Comment.
follow us on Instagram. TikTok is out there now,
Woohoo!
so you can find us on TikTok. Talking Show 3. I guess there were 2 before us.
I saw that.
So it's just like I can't change the name. Maybe I could change the name, but it's going to have some numeric value. So just
You'll see the banner.
you'll find it. Yeah,
You'll see the banner and our faces on it.
yeah. So you'll know what it is.
Not to mention our live couch episode that just dropped.
Yeah, that's out there today. Whenever you're listening to it,
It's gonna be like,
now.
what?
Well, what is all this stuff? Yeah,
What'd you guys do on the
Live
couch?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we have a couch episode. Yeah, that one's on our Patreon. So we don't have that yet, but maybe we need to do that. But anyway, again, it's out there everywhere. Again, we appreciate you guys coming back week after week. We do this because of everything I already said. We just love the music. We love the connection. It's
Hell yeah.
fun. It's a great release. It's a soundbite. Great release, and we'll keep coming back. So until next time, Stephen.
Yes. And real quick, I know we're going to do new metal next, which I'm really looking forward to because it's going to be a whole new avenue for me, and Scott's going to school me on this.
Yeah.
Oh, and as our future show, Scott alluded to doing female vocalists.
Yeah.
All I'm going to say is Shirley Manson.
There we go.
So
Yeah. Absolutely. So we got some of the topics coming up. So again, thank you guys as always, and we will talk to you soon. And see ya.
the clapping, I love it. So much fun. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Yes, you too. You too. Here, let me throw you some drumsticks.
Thanks again for tuning in to the show. We'll be back every week with a brand new episode. Make sure you check us out on Instagram at Talking Show, and also listen on Spotify or wherever you can stream a podcast. See ya.